What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. On last episode, we were working on the CRX. We did the front header, we did the radiator, and we did some fun with some intercooler piping. And I've been beating Sam off of these boxes to make sure he doesn't open these off camera.
Too excited, man.
I'm too excited too. So we got two very large boxes, which I'm assuming has turbos in it. We have some smaller boxes and what looks like an intercooler. So let's take these things, unbox them real quick, guys, and see what we got. These Garretts are looking beautiful.
I'm like in awe of all the Garrett stuff. I haven't seen the Garrett stuff up close before. Like
pretty
the machining
nice.
on it's super nice.
You excited?
I'm excited.
I'm pretty pumped. All right, guys, these are the J35 660 turbos. We went ahead and got the same side for both of them because we want to stagger them right beside each other. They're going to be sitting right in there. Boom, boom, just like a GTR. We also went with the GVW 50. It's a 50 millimeter wastegate, external wastegate, all stainless steel. Just a beautiful piece of machinery right there. And then we got our 50 millimeter blow-off valve. So that'll probably be coming down here somewhere and releasing that pressure between shifts. And we also have our 3.5 inch by 24 inch by 12 inch intercooler core. And this is a thing of beauty right here. So we already made our end tanks, and these are 3.5 by 12 inches. So we're gonna cut all that apart right now, get our end tanks on, weld those up, and get some bungs in here and figure out how we're gonna mount this in place, because this is a big piece of the puzzle to be able to do our cold side piping over here. Once we get that done, guys, then we're gonna start working on our rear header. We got our collector that we were waiting on. So we got another collector for the rear header. It's gonna be coming back here. Like I said in the last video, if you haven't seen that video and saw how we did our header and got to this point, go ahead and watch that video, come back here, because you're gonna wanna see where we're at. So we're gonna go ahead and tackle this intercooler first, get that all done, get this all situated, and then we're gonna start working on that header. So let's get to work. All right, we got our intercooler installed, and I'd have to say Garrett intercooler cores weld pretty awesome. I'm not the greatest aluminum welder. There's people out there that can lay some serious dimes, but this thing welds beautifully. Like, it's just like butter. They pre-weld the core, they do everything, they kind of like prep everything for you. So these end caps that we pre-made the other day, they're all welded up, everything's looking really good. I'm probably gonna do some more finished passes on them, but for right now, we're looking like we're getting there. Some serious business going on. So we gotta get some bungs. We're gonna tie the top into the radiator, and then the bottom here is gonna go right into these plates that we have made up that are holding up the actual radiator. So all this whole system will all be mounted together. So before we start on the rear header, which is the plan, we have to get some turbos in place. So these tiny little J35 660s are going to be perfect for what we need in this engine bay. So yeah, that'll work. All right, guys, I am too excited not to show you, but look at the turbo placement. So this is kind of like what we're thinking of right now, juggling different avenues of this build, because we want to make sure that we're not doing everything more than once, because if I place the turbos in the wrong spot or down pipes or anything like that, we're gonna have issues. So we do have the intercooler all situated. We have our bungs. Sam went ahead and turned these down for us. So we're gonna be able to get those welded on, get the intercooler mounted, then we'll take all this stuff off so that we can start running that up pipe to this turbo location to get that positioned. So we're gonna go ahead and finish up the intercooler first, and then we'll start tackling that front turbo. So the intercooler is pretty much installed. I just wanted to check the hardware on top here that I put on. So that's going to be mounted to the radiator like that. So the opening of the bumper is hitting, but if you can envision it going straight back where the headlights are, it's going to be just fine. So that looks pretty freaking sick. This isn't the front bumper, but it gives me an idea that I'm on the right path. So you see the hardware, that hole right there. Boop. So it just needs to go back about 2 inches, and that's about how much you cut out of the opening. It would bolt on just fine with this hardware that we have up here. So now that we know this is good, we're gonna take all this off and start making our up pipe to mount our turbo, and then start working on the rear one. All right, well, before we connect the dots, we got a couple goodies from Ticon. What we got, Sam?
We got a lot of goodies.
Got a lot of goodies. I like their pens. I'm actually a big fan of these things.
You always need Sharpies.
Yeah, you always need Sharpies. But this box isn't that heavy, so I'm guessing there's a bunch of titanium in here. We got some turbine flanges. We got some G-series inlet flanges. We need those.
Holy pipes.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Man, living.
That's a lot of pipes.
Who's gonna weld all this together?
I don't know. I'll do some.
People like pie cuts, but welding them is one thing. So, if you guys want your titanium inlet flanges for your wastegates, doesn't matter what it is, Ticon has you covered. And look at the packaging. Making these nice boxes, and then on top of the box, they have all your parts all individually packaged in plastics. There's no grease, there's nothing on them. So you put yourself some latex gloves on, pull them out of the package, and you have no porosity when you're welding up the titanium. So we got a bunch of 3-inch for our downpipes, and then we got a bunch of 2-inch for our charge piping. So this is all gonna be titanium. How we're gonna make it fit, I have no idea. But Sam's got it all figured out in his head. Yeah, you let me know. So we're gonna go ahead and start getting all this situated. But for right now, I'm gonna stay on task and get this turbo hung, and we're gonna get our up pipe welded up right now. So let's get that done. All right, so we got our up pipe pretty much all situated. I have the flange. We're gonna go ahead and test fit the Garrett turbo now and see if this fitment is gonna work or move stuff around. I love these little G-series turbos because they're super, super light. And it's gonna work out smashingly. Now the cool thing about V-band as opposed to 4-bolt, you can do this. Look at that. Position the turbo however way we want. So now that that's in position, we have to situate our coolant line. So we got our P2R adapters. This is all going to be welded up later, but we still have this 3D printed part. So we're going to put this back on because obviously this has a big bearing on with the clearance of our downpipe. So now that I have my turbo placement here, I'm gonna go ahead and put the coolant pipe back on. I'm gonna get this guy out of the way, and we're gonna start running our downpipe. Once our downpipe is done, then we're gonna start positioning our turbo, like I said before. All right, we confirmed that the hood clears. We got like 6 inches from the top of the turbo from the hood. And this hood's got a really big bump out for the V6, so it works out pretty good. We got this clocked as far over as we can. So in order for this turbo to clear, I think what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to just hug this bolt. We're going to come out to this corner right here and then shoot straight down and go down inside of that pocket. Once I get down to that pocket to about that transfer case, I think that's probably as far as I need to go. Once that's done, then we can start positioning this rear turbo on top of that downpipe. And at the same time, make sure we have enough real estate on the backside to get the downpipe out for this turbo as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting this together now. We're going to go ahead and use our Ticon now. So 3-inch outlet flange for the G-series, get that bolted on, and start tacking together some pie cuts, the downpipe through that hole, and onto the next turbo. All right guys, so we got our downpipe pretty much all in there, and I'm really liking how this is looking so far. We go right down in there, and we have this nice transition. I'm really thinking about transitioning our second turbo into this straight, because this pocket right here is a little further forward away from the brake booster, and it's basically going to sit inside that pocket, if you can see it. So our downpipe would come right around and go right into there, but this turbo will be lifted up a little bit, and our collector will be right against the firewall underneath this little reservoir. I think that's going to be our best bet. and then we are pretty much all laid out as far as the hot side goes, and we just have the cold side to figure out. So fingers crossed this might work out. I'm gonna go ahead and start placing our collector now. All right, so we almost got our second downpipe done, and what we've decided to do is merge it on this flat right here. You see this nice long straight transition? So when you're merging two banks together, you want to do it somewhere where it's straight. So you don't want to merge in a bend because it's a bunch of turbulence. You want to do it where it's nice and straight, and both pulses are going to be able to flow into one source very easily. So what we're going to do, we made this second downpipe, and we went ahead and coped the opening, and it's going to go just like that. Boom. So we have a nice transition. We got plenty of room against the firewall to start doing our header. So I'm going to get in there and try to tack this in place. I'll move this turbo out of the way, and then we'll probably position our collector behind this downpipe. And then once we have our collector positioned, then we're going to go ahead and be able to build that header, and then build the up pipe to be able to get this in position. At that point, we'll probably separate the cold side from this exhaust side so that the weight is a little bit lower, so that we can hang it on this downpipe. Might be a little tricky, but for right now, I'm going to tack this thing in place, and that way we can start finally building our header on the back side of this car. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. I think we found a good spot for the collector on the rear header. The length on it and everything is just going to be limited to what we can work with. So this is our first primary. It's pretty simple, guys. It's not going to be anything crazy. But as you can see, once we put it in there, we don't have a whole lot of room to do really a lot of magic as far as twisties go. So it's going to sit in there just like that against the firewall. We'll go number 2, number 3, be a nice straightforward header. And then from there, we have our 2.5 inch material, or 2 1/4. It'll be 90, 90, 90. It'll come down under here and connect to the inlet on the hot side of our turbo. And then there'll be a wastegate probably inside this pocket. We'll probably put a screamer pipe through that hole right there behind the transmission. And then we're gonna do our other wastegate maybe on the inside of this bend at the hot side. You know, where all your exhaust pressure is building up. You always wanna put your wastegates on the outside of those bends. That's gonna be able to control your exhaust flow the best. So I'll probably put it like right around here, do a little screamer pipe down, and be good to go. So next step is getting this thing fixtured up like we did to the front header. So we got our old fixture here. We're going to cut this off, and then repurpose it for our collector. Go ahead and bolt it on there and start running our other 2 primaries. Get that all welded up, and the hot side on this turbo system is just about done. And then move on to the cold side, which is all the intercooler piping, which is going to be very interesting tying these 2 together. But I keep getting ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and get this fixtured up, get this header done, and back in the car. All right, so I went ahead and popped out the header from the collector, and I just wanted to test it and see how it looks in there. And I think I gotta lower this primary. It gets in there, no problem. You don't have to unbolt the motor mounts or anything, which is a big plus. But it's really close to that coil pack, so it's probably gonna cook that coil pack. I think we need to lower this one down significantly. And I think the way we're gonna do that is get it down on top of that pipe. You see how huge gap I got? I think what we're gonna have to do is get this down so it's touching this pipe, and then we'll take some out of this bend, take some out of this bend, and we'll drop the whole thing down, getting this away from the coil pack. And then once we do that, we can go ahead and break this thing apart and finish welding it. and this rear header is done. And then we just have to make our connection point to the hot side of the turbo, and then our headers are pretty much all finished. Oh, we got to weld that one up too. So we're gonna do that now. All right, the header fits. I'm pretty pumped on this fitment. It looks pretty cool how it's up high like that, so you can see the primaries. We got plenty of room away from this coil pack, so we're not gonna have to worry about it overheating. And it's a little tight on the valve cover, but it looks like it's about a half a finger. So yeah, we're measuring everything with hands and fingers around here. Got good clearance here. The only thing left now is we gotta connect this point to this point. So I went ahead and tacked a 90 on this inlet, on this Ticon inlet for our Garrett. Go ahead and bolt this on now, like this. So we'll be able to swivel this thing. And then from there, we're gonna do a 90 out of here, and then probably have to do a 45 and a 45 to be able to jog them together. So it's gonna come like this, and then we have plenty of room over here to put the wastegate for the backside on this turbo system. And then still trying to figure out this one. We're gonna final weld this after we got done putting that in, so we can put the radiator in and get our clearance for the front wastegates. So before we do that, let's go ahead and get this on and finish up this header and see what our turbo system looks like, because then we can put our cold side back on, our compressor, and see exactly what this whole thing looks like. So don't go anywhere, stick around. All right guys, after hours of welding and cutting and fitting, our headers are done. Check these bad boys out. Twin turbo J35 headers. Can't say I've ever built these before. So they are similar in length, just the orientation's a little different. Now that we have these done and we have our Y pipe pretty much where we want it, this is our Y pipe. We decided to go with the Y pipe instead of merging under the car, because this is going to be the most compact solution to a twin turbo V6 transverse in a CRX. So the last thing we get to do is the fun stuff. We get to mock it all back up and see what it looks like with the Garrett turbos finally under their own weight, not sitting on boxes, but bolted in and looking proper. So let's do that right now and enjoy that time lapse. All right guys, this looks unbelievable. I can't believe how it turned out. So we got our twin Garrett G25 turbos in there under their own weight now with the headers. The headers are completely welded up. We have our titanium Y pipe, our down pipe going into one, and we also have our up pipes all welded on our headers. This turned out great. Like, it fits so proper now on top of that transmission. It's exactly kind of what we had envisioned in our minds when we were talking about doing this twin turbo car with Sam, and holy mackerel, this thing looks amazing. We obviously have a lot more to do. Big thing for the hot side to finish that out is going to be our GVW 50. We're doing 50mm wastegates on this bad boy. So next episode we'll be placing this. Comment below if you think we should shoot the dumps out the hood, because I have an idea to take up a little area back here and do some screamer pipes out the hood, so that this thing can do all-wheel drive donuts while spitting some flames out the hood, because I think that'd be epic. because this thing's an absolute monster, and it's got side exhaust, so we have flames there, flames here, and hopefully we can mitigate flames anywhere else. I'm just kidding. So next episode we'll be continuing on this system. We have a couple more things to do on the hot side. Obviously we have a ton of welding to do back here. We have to connect our downpipe to our side exhaust. It's just going to be a little jog down there. We got to add some gussets on the back of the motor mount. You guys are saying that needs to be a little stronger, so we're probably going to go ahead and do that. And then obviously we have to connect our throttle body to this guy, and then we have a lot more piping that needs to go in here to connect our charge piping. Basically these two turbos need to go into one pipe that goes feeds this side of the intercooler and up into there. So a lot more tubing is going to go into this side of the bay. It's going to get a lot more complicated and a lot more intricate. Looks pretty awesome though. Comment below, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Let us know what you think as far as the project is going. If you like the content so far, if you think there's something else we should be doing. But next episode, we'll be continuing on this system, and we're almost ready for Vegas. The car's pretty much done. Just put some, screw this on and maybe do this or that or whatever. Now we have a long way to go. So enough talking, and you get to the next episode and start working again. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll see you on the next episode.